How's that for a stump speech?
Costume designer.
And I went into that costume shop and I never came out.
Artist.
You know, artist fingerprints, that's the fingerprint of our culture.
Dramaturg.
I mean, I think that everything that we do has a record, and that might say more about us than we ever even realize.
And professor of theater and dance.
I think I do believe that what I do can matter.
Pam Johnson.
Don't ever, ever, ever close yourself off and think you just do one thing.
This is The Last Lap. Well, hello, and welcome back to The Last Lap. I'm Mia Brabham, and this is a 10-episode podcast where I interview my favorite, most interesting professors, mentors, and just freaking cool people during the last 10 days of my undergrad career here at James Madison University. They all have something absolutely incredible to say about the world. These are all the questions I've ever wanted to ask them about life, the lessons they've learned, their areas of study and research, and surprise, there's a little bit of something to take away each episode for everybody out there listening. Today, I'm here with Pam Johnson, quirky, hilarious, and amazingly talented professor of theater and dance, specifically costume design. So today to join us, we have Zoe Velling, incredibly talented performer and a cappella group member of Notoriety, and longtime friend Ryan Bowles, hilarious human and future talk show host. I can't wait for that. Both are dear friends and are here to join us today for the chat. So welcome to them, and let's start the show. And today we're here with Zoe.
Hi.
And Ryan.
Hey.
We had visual aspects with Pam Johnson, the queen of queens. You are literally our queen. We talk about you all the time. We're like, we love Pam. But first, I just want to give a little background on the visual aspects experience. Like, what was your experience like in that incredible class? We sat in the front because we love Pam.
I just saw Ryan's eyes looking at
He's like, oh, hell.
Well, because I'm thinking, and I'm like, I know that I made this first impression. I come in with blue hair, and she's probably like, I'm getting some graphic designer or some artsy person.
You are artsy. You put blue in your hair, you're artsy.
No, I'm just basic. And you were like, wow, I just want to put you under some great lights. And I was like, okay, let's do it, Pam. So from then on, that was my first impression, and the whole semester, she was just so great.
Love it.
Always inspiring.
So sweet. Did I ever put you under lights?
No, we never did it.
Sorry,
Only the
never
fluorescent
happened.
ones.
You should have reminded me. No, when we did the lighting demo.
Oh,
where
we
you
did.
had
We did.
When you experienced a
pictures of
chromatic
it.
aberration, you're not
Yes.
supposed to remember that for the rest of your life.
I did this now.
I need
just
to take
remembered
notes.
it.
Zoe, what would you say? Pam just handed me a pen.
Okay.
Aberration. Keep that pen. All right.
I think that class was really not what I was expecting at all, because I knew that it would delve into artistic realms that I had never touched before, but I really came out understanding like the deeper meaning behind costuming and lighting and visual aspects, because a lot of times you just kind of admire it for its aesthetic purpose, but we really got like into
A lot of analysis.
Yeah, exactly. It was great, especially being able to design our own costumes and to learn to watercolor and like give reasoning behind it all.
I struggled.
That was so cool.
I struggled.
I was like, Pam, hell.
You are all lying.
No.
Okay, so when did your love for design happen? At what point in your life? And then, like, tell us the story.
Okay,
of, like, how you got to where you are.
this is so bizarre because I've shared this recently with senior seminar. Until my the end of my sophomore year, I was a French and history double major. I had never had any interest in the arts. I had never done anything like that. Wow. And then the horrible thing about this is it's both horrible and wonderful. It is life's turns. But I was taking what would be like a gen ed intro to theater class, which was all literature based, and the professor I had, Dr. Turgeon, he was so remarkable. I was so inspired by him. I could not wait to get to class to hear him talk. And he came in one day and he was visibly very upset, and he had these things under his arm, and the head of the department in his very early 50s had literally had a massive heart attack and died in the rehearsal the night before. And he was also the costume designer, and his family I assume, shortly after his passing that evening, had gotten together and said, we want the show to go on. And so Dr. Turgeon came in and he was weeping, so we were all weeping. I mean, we would have, if he'd walked over, hot coals, we would have gotten up and walked after him. We were just so inspired by him. And he said, is there anyone in here that if I can show you a picture, one of the costume renderings, could you help put it together? And I was blubbering, and I raised my hands, and I said, well, I'll certainly try, because I'd been taught to sew when I was very young, and I knew that I could look at something and figure out how to make it. And I went into that costumes shop, and I never came out. I changed my major. I always tell people I was very late to my Renaissance, and I'm still in it. I had no idea how much the theater already contained in its very making everything that I loved, which was, reading and analysis and history. And I started taking art history classes, which I loved, because that's, art is fingerprints. That's the fingerprint of our culture.
Yeah.
And then I started taking some drawing classes, and I just loved it. And so I came in a very macabre way. I don't know. I think I thought I wanted to teach probably in high school. I don't know if I could do that now. But I think that was my aspiration. So it was a completely unanticipated. It wasn't even a launch. It was like I jumped out of a plane and I landed somewhere. There was no transition.
I love that.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy.
What's your favorite project you've ever worked on?
Favorite project?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Probably my favorite design project was working on the Mikado, which was done here in the 90s. And then next to that is the play I directed here, Arcadia, by Tom Stoppard, which was a remarkable experience for me. Just really, really wonderful. And when I was hired here, we all directed. We were told that we would direct, so I've been able to do that. I've been able to direct children's theater and design, and I've directed quite a few things, so that's that kind of, that's the nourishment that I have had.
Wow. Why were those your favorite?
I think for the Mikado, because it was just such a rich collaboration with the lighting designer and the set designer, the same person, Bill Buck, and then the director of the production, who was the first musical theater head that we had here, although we'd done musical theater for years and years and years. John Bell was also, it was just this wonderful energy and this excitement about doing it and creating something that was beautiful, and it really was beautiful. It really was beautiful. It was so satisfying. And it was a different form than I'd ever worked in.
Yeah.
So it was an opportunity to paint silk, which I love, and
watercolor. All right, so one reason why I think we all love you and why a lot of your students love you is the sass factor. And you always have the funniest comments.
That's
true. So I want to know.
Like, welcome to my class.
Right.
You have blue hair. I can't wait to put light on.
Exactly. So I would say, I want to know, have you always been this bright, sort of
spunky?
Yeah.
Good one.
Is it something you've developed, or like something you've come to? Or has that? I feel like
Have
it's
I
an
been
odd question, but I want
spunky?
to know.
That's a hard question because you have to self-assess.
Yeah.
I'm not an actor,
Deep
so I can't
reflection
step
right now.
out of my body and imagine. I mean, I've always enjoyed being lighthearted and, exchanging things in a lighthearted way, although maybe I wasn't always lighthearted when I would say, by the way, you can do this. But I think I've probably always been determined. I mean, when I was younger, and I was raised in a generation, I wasn't born right after World War II, but my father was very present in World War II. He had a real important position in World War II. So, and my parents went through rough times in the Depression, so I think we were raised to be kind of young adults before we were adults, and so we were very serious about things, but at the same time, especially my father, just had this wonderful antic that I think I always really appreciated. He would be the one that things would be so serious and you'd think, I can't get through this, and then Dad would say something that was really lighthearted. So maybe I was just a witness to that. But I also think that, one of the privileges of this kind of work, and I keep telling students, what a great gig.
Yeah.
To be working in theater, and you're surrounded by all this youth all the time. It's very synthetic, I don't even think about, I really should, how old I am, but it's just, I think because we work so closely together, we're in the same community in the classroom and when we're backstage, that it just seems to me to be natural.
Yeah.
To be, I don't think I would ever survive in teaching in a place where you just did a lecture and everybody took notes and walked out. I don't think I would be very good at that. I don't think I would stay with it very long. So maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
I don't know if that answered your question.
No, it did, but it was just like,
I'm glad I don't disappoint.
never, Pam, never. But you kind of touched on it, but I guess in addition to, like, sort of this, like, exuberance, what about confidence? Because I feel like you're very confident. Like, you have this thing about you. Is that something you develop?
I mean, I think I do believe that what I do can matter, and I believe that I can do it well, and I believe I can contribute. And I also have had, maybe part of that is just the work ethic that I came from, which is it doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're, loading the napkin holder at McDonald's, you care about it. So I've really brought that to my classroom, and I think that's why I have high standards and I really raise the stakes, because I just don't, as a person, I never rationed my enthusiasm. And that's probably one of the things that led to my confidence. I don't know. I mean, when I was a kid, I thought about this because my best friend in the world, who does what I could never do, which is that she's this incredible, she's a social worker, but she's like a psychologist at the same time. And she works in inner city schools in Chicago. And I think she could walk on anything, water or beyond, which is ironic because she's Jewish. But I think that when we were kids, like we played, we played like insurance company. Like we would, crazy? Or we played them over, we kept books and everything. So our world was so serious.
Yeah.
And I think that might have been part of it, that even in our play, we took things serious. I don't know, when you're 5, who invents an insurance company?
No, but it definitely rubs off, because there was never a moment when I would be at my kitchen table, like, laying over these watercolors 3 a.m. that I was like, there was never a moment I said, I don't care about this. It was like, I want Pam to love this. I want to love it when I'm done. I want to be good at this. So it definitely
I don't know if that's right, though. I don't want you to do something just for my approval.
But I think
that's not good.
The best professors, though, are the ones who love what they do.
Yeah.
So that passion inspires them to be as good.
I want to impress you because you impress me every single day.
Exactly.
That's very sweet. That's really sweet.
Changing lives, Pam Johnson. Okay, I have one more question, then we have a speed round.
Oh, gosh.
So I'm excited.
Okay.
And we'll almost be done. I'm really excited.
I watch these on Jimmy Kimmel.
Oh my gosh, it's gonna be a good time. So, just in general, you sort of touched on it before, like you said, art is like the fingerprint of culture. But could you just tell our audience and just everyone, why are the arts so important? Like, why do we need the arts in the world?
I think of everything that we do, that's probably the thing that's the most present that we're least aware of. Art is literature, it's music, it's it's the visual arts, it's the auditory arts, and we are a world that we define ourselves by what we have, the material culture around us, and the way that we surround ourselves with things that are our choices. And we sometimes do that to kind of appeal to a common aesthetic and to seek approval. Or sometimes we do it like we want our hair to be blue because it makes you feel better. So, I think that everything that we do has a record, and that might say more about us than we ever even realize. And when people say, oh, what do you do? And I say, well, I teach. I'm a designer principally, and I teach in the School of Theater and Dance, and I mainly do costumes. They go, oh, that sounds like such fun. And I want to shake them and say, do you not get it? Do you not get how much of a statement of who we are, how much semiotics there is, and, what we do? And it is fun, but it's also really, challenging. And for people who dismiss that and they think of art as painting and music as singing, they don't understand that there's literature and there's analysis. And when they don't get it, I always say, do you eat cereal? Do you read the cereal box? When you, do you understand who did that?
Yeah.
If you like movies, do you understand that all of those films are put together by people who were artists and who study art? Just opening up your mind to how, not only how present it is, but how it defines us. And the explanation for everything that we do and have is, I think, proceeds from that. So, how's that for a stump speech?
That's amazing. All right, so I'm excited.
Is this the lightning round?
This is our lightning round. I call this the speed, not so speed round.
Okay.
Because the questions are quick, they're short, they're precise, but they're going to make you think. So you have to think on your toes. They're really fun. You guys should
You'll
think
be
about this
great,
too.
Pam.
You're gonna be so great. Oh,
When
Pam
am
just
I
got
ever
really
short
nervous.
answer? I'm never short answer. It's not. Okay, I'll try.
We'll just get into it. Okay, are you ready?
Yeah, I guess.
Are you positive?
Let's do it.
Yes. I'm confident.
You're confident. All right. Ready, set. Favorite moment of undergrad.
Walking into the costume shop.
One sentence.
One
I don't think that's ever happened. That was beautiful. Damn, I'm so proud. Okay, 2. Favorite moment at JMU.
Having a student sit in my office and say, "You made me do things I never thought I'd be able to do."
Amazing. 3, your heart song. I might have to describe this, but it's not your favorite song. It's a song that's like you as a song, your spirit song. Like, what is you? It's like a spirit animal, but a spirit song.
And I can't cite a song from popular culture.
No, do it.
Oh, Chicago. Does anybody really know what time it is?
Oh my goodness, I love
It's my favorite.
No one's ever done it that quick. You win.
I bet you thought I was going to say Layla because that's my phone ring. Go ahead.
Oh my goodness. Okay, your cry song. So a song you cry to.
Oh, anything from Out of Africa.
Okay.
That one really brings me to my knees.
Love it. All right, a moment in your life you felt most alive.
When I held my daughter, my first child. When I held her.
Oh my goodness. Wait, how many
I have 2
sons and
children. I have 2
you
daughters.
Oh man, that's fun. All right, how do you overcome fear?
I don't take the time to worry. I just go ahead. Or I ask my husband. And he says, "What are you worried about? Just do it."
I love it.
Because he's kind of the Mick Dundee.
Okay, and if you weren't a JMU professor, what would you be?
Goodness. I'd be a nurse. I would definitely be a nurse.
Oh my God.
I would have gone into nursing.
Wait, why? I want to know why.
Because when I was at UVA, I was in the first class of women. Talk about a place where you weren't
Wow.
you
Are
didn't
you
feel
kidding?
welcome. Oh yeah.
Whoa.
We're talking medieval. Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry, and I'm an alum. I love UVA, so whatever cloud this is going to, I just want to assure you I love UVA. But I was surrounded. The only women that had been there before were medical and nursing students, and I lived with them. So I was, I would read their med-surg nursing books, and they would read my art history books. And so I've read enough and been around medicine enough so that I'm kind of off book. So when one of my children who was very, very challenged medically, I could go in, and I had them believing, I still can, that I'm a nurse because I've got enough vocab that they'll be upfront with me. And I know I've just learned so much that way. That was just, what a gift. And then I realized probably that's what I would have gone into. I said nursing, but I think probably nursing, not being a physician, because the nurses are really the ones.
Yes.
They're the ones. They're the ones.
Wow, I feel like I need to I have a week left. Read my roommate's textbooks.
Oh yeah.
Anthropology.
Oh yeah.
Got some stuff to learn.
Yeah. Anthropology is art. I mean, that's
It
about
is,
fingerprints.
yeah.
You could just, I
Anthropology.
could change your grade in visual aspects, and then you'd have to come
Thank
back.
you. I've never been more grateful. Like,
into
please
Go
fail
in,
me.
fail us all. Let's all retake.
Show up every single semester. Okay, if you could win an award for anything, what would you want to win?
Best grandmother.
Love it. And then who would you thank in your acceptance speech?
Who would I thank? I would thank this place and the opportunities I've had here, because I raised my children. They should be really maladjusted, but they're so remarkable because they were raised in costume shops, art studios, backstage, in dressing rooms. They were raised here, and they made my children's lives so rich. And I didn't realize that. I used to feel bad that my children lived in a car, and I fed them oatmeal when they were in the tub in the morning because I was late. And now I'm so thankful that they had this experience. So that's who I would thank, because that's kind of defined who I am. This place.
Okay, the last question.
Oh, goodness.
The last lap question. One piece of advice you would give to any college student going out into the world in only one word.
Open. Open.
We all collectively
If
said,
my mouth wasn't agape, I would have made that noise. So, okay, just describe really quick. Explain.
Be open to opportunities. I think about my life and the career that I've been in. Who don't ever, ever, ever close yourself off and think you just do one thing. Never do that. That's so unfair. And just trust how much you've gathered just by osmosis and how capable you are. and just don't self-define when you come in the door, and continue to do that. Define yourself with openness. Not, I'm only doing one thing.
I have chills.
Oh.
I feel like if you could choose one more word, would it be shawl?
My advice is keep shawls, and when you have piles, throw shawls over them. That's my advice.
Piles of stuff. Hide your messes.
Can I just add one thing? Because
Yes,
this
please
is one of the
do.
things that I really, I was so transformed by this. The very first student I ever had here, her name is Mary Egan Murphy. I hope she hears this. And so she's just, I mean, I don't want to tell you how old she is, but she's been working at this for a long time, and she worked on, the last thing that she did was she worked on Carol, the film Carol.
Yeah.
And I just opened up my email one day, and she sent me, it was a photograph, I mean, it was a picture of text, and it said, the first slide was, my teacher told me I could, and then I hit next, and it says, and I did. And I was undone. And that was a long time ago. It was decades ago.
That's amazing.
So I have to go be a grandmother.
That's fantastic.
Thanks
Thank
so
you
much.
so much
I
for
mean,
doing
it's so
this.
easy
We
for
love
me
you.
to. I mean, I love you too. I always tell people that they say, "How do you do this long?" And I'm like, "Are you kidding me? All I need is like one of you every 3 or 4 years, and I'm good. That's all I need, because it's such a joy to have this exchange. It's just life-giving. So thank you three so much.
Love you.
Thank you, Pam. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you learned something new or at least laughed a little bit. Subscribe for more podcasts and for other stories and video content. If you're listening on YouTube or Facebook, hello. Leave a comment to answer the takeaway question in the description, respond to any of the topics we talked about today, or even start your own. I promise to read them. Finally, find me on Twitter and Instagram at yourstrulymia_, and let's be friends. Tune in to the next episode with Daisy Brenneman, Professor of Justice Studies, to talk all things diversity. Thanks again for listening, and remember, the best learning happens inside and outside the classroom. This is The Last Lap, and until next episode, gotta run. The Last Lap is produced and edited by Mia Brabham, music by Brian Kim.